Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate 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 Vasudevaya.
Nigamakalpatarurgalitam balam Shuka Mukha Tamrita Drava Samyutam Pivata Bhagavatam Rasamalayam Mukuraho Rasika Ubiva Ukkaha Nārāyaṇam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Naruttamam Devim Sarasvatim Vyasam Tato Chayam Mudirayet Mukham Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yatkripatamaham Vande Shri Gurum Dinataranam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Mishwaram Panchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evascha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Thank you very much for being here today and for giving me this opportunity to speak some words about the Shrimad-Bhagavatam. And the topic I thought to share with you it's a topic which could sound for some of you a bit heavy. So if that's the case, please don't mind. Wait. But I'll try to make it as relevant as possible and spiritually uplifting so that it doesn't sound depressing. The topic is responses to the call of death based on the Shrimad-Bhagavatam. This is a very important topic because normally we don't like to talk much about death, isn't it? Generally speaking, people don't like to talk about death. And then if they talk about death, can be like in the films, like it's not real death. It's a film, and then okay, it's a film. Come on. So it's not a problem. Isn't it? I remember as a child, I used to be, somehow I don't know why I liked that. Then later I thought I was really foolish. But I liked the films of cowboys like fighting and I, as a little child, would go in front of the TV and say, yeah, beat him. Didn't realize what was happening. Isn't it? Some of you may have the same. In Spain also there are the bullfights, very sinful activity. I like it when the bull will hit the killer. In my family somehow that we had some fight in that sense. We will say, yeah, the bull killed the rascal. He's trying to kill the bull. And when the bull will win, we will be happy about it. But anyway, the point is that generally in the films, we know that death is not, it's like a play in one way, like children play. But in real life, death is constant. I'm sure that everybody here had a close or relatively close family member or friend or neighbor who passed away. Can you think of some people you knew and were somewhat connected to you and they passed away? Practically everybody has somebody because this is called Martya Loka, the planet of death. The material world is like that. The good news is that death is not so real as it seems, in that what is dying, it's the material body. Well, you have heard this many times. and most of you, maybe some new people may have not heard. So in that sense, it's not so real. It's like, okay, you are going on a journey, and then we may meet again. Why not? Could happen. There was a letter, Bhagavan Prabhu, Srila Prabhupada's disciple, a few days ago, Vishwambar Prabhu, there are many Vishwambar, he was from Canada. He for some time he was a sannyasi, Vishwambar Maharaj from France. He left his body recently. Very kind-hearted Vaishnava, very soft heart, very humble. When he was in New Mayapur in France, he will take very good care of the devotees. All the comments I heard from the devotees were good comments. Very friendly, very kind. And Bhagavan Prabhu wrote a very beautiful letter expressing affection for his god brother. Made it public, and you can read it in his Facebook. If you go there, you will find the letter. And he was, at the end he said, we may meet again with Srila Prabhupada. So that was his prayer and his hope. And he was quite convinced that yes, we can continue in connecting in divine service. It is possible. In the transcendental service, it is possible to remain connected despite the physical, temporary separation, which may happen in different dimensions. So these are the good news, but the point is that responses to the call of death is a very instructive topic that appears throughout the Shrimad-Bhagavatam again and again. So I thought as a starting point to read text number 6 of chapter 1 of the second canto, which speaks about the best perfection we can achieve in human life. And what the verse says that it is to be able to remember Nārāyaṇa, to remember Krishna, the original Nārāyaṇa, or any forms of Nārāyaṇa, at the time of death. So we can read it, 2:1-6, those of you who want to follow in your devices. And this is the answer, or an important verse in the answer Shukadeva Goswami is giving to Maharaj Parikshit, Sri Arjuna's grandson, who had been cursed to die within 7 days. So he knew when he was going to die. So in that sense, he had an advantage to most of people, the majority of people. We don't know when we're going to die. The astrologer may say something, but in Kali Yuga, astrologers, sometimes they are not so, isn't it? Astrologers. Sometimes no, sorry if somebody's astrologer. Of an astrologer. Apologies. But sometimes if they are good readers of the planets, may get it right. But I remember this morning, those of you who may remember, I referred to the passing away of my Sankirtan leader, Parampurusha Prabhu, very nice devotee. But I feel very grateful to him. He helped me a lot. And he passed away when he was 68 years old. But the astrologer predicted 80 years old. He didn't get it right. And my astrologers, I have three predictions. So there are 3 opinions. 2 opinions say the same, that I will die between, I'm 61. Sorry, I have to speak about sometimes. But I will, according to the opinion of these readers of the planets, I will leave the body when between 74 and 77. So between 13 and 16 years more to go according to them. Could be shorter also. They could be longer. Another astrologer said, no, definitely you live much longer. That was his third opinion. Anyway, but the point is that we don't really know. And astrologers sometimes, if they are good, they get it right. But sometimes also the planets, the information may not be fully accurate. And for devotees, Krishna's hand is very tricky, and Krishna can do anything. So something that appears to be final is not final anymore. Krishna is the greatest magician. So, but what we cannot control is when the time of death will come, but we can prepare ourselves to respond to the call of death. And the call of death comes in so many ways. It doesn't come only in our death, comes how do we respond to death of dear ones? How do we respond when there is attack, there is violence? How do we respond when there is threat of death? So all these could be themes to explore, responses to the call of death. What we can do here is only perhaps touch a little bit the surface and go a little bit down to exploring some of these. So let's read this verse and then we can discuss the topic. Etavan Sankhya Yogapyam Svadharma Parinishtaya Janmalabha Parakpumsam Ante Nārāyaṇa Smriti Etavan Sankhya Yogapyam Svadharma Parinishtaya Janmalabha Parakpumsam Ante Nārāyaṇa Smriti. Some of you like to sing.
Etavan Sankhya Yogabhyam Swadharma Parinistaya Janmalabha Parapumsam Ante Nārāyaṇa Smriti.
Etavan Sankhya Yogabhyam
Svadharma Parinistaya Janmalabha Parapumsam Ante Nārāyaṇa Smriti.
Etavan Sankhya Yogabhyam Swadharma Parinistaya Janmalabha Parapumsam Ante Nārāyaṇa Smriti.
One more.
Etavan Sankhya Yogabhyam Swadharma Parinistaya Janmalabha Parapumsam
Ante Nārāyaṇa Smritihi.
I'll read the translation and the purport. You can look if you wish word by word, but for the sake of time and for discussion, we will go to the verse. The highest perfection of human life achieved either by complete knowledge of matter and spirit, by practice of mystic powers, or by perfect discharge of occupational duty, is to remember the personality of Godhead at the end of life. Srila Prabhupada's purport. Nārāyaṇa is the transcendental personality of Godhead beyond the material creation. Everything that is created, sustained, and at the end annihilated is within the compass of the Mahatattva, material principle, and is known as the material world. The existence of Nārāyaṇa, or the personality of Godhead, is not within the jurisdiction of this Mahatattva, and as such, the name, form, attributes, etc. of Nārāyaṇa are beyond the jurisdiction of the material world. By the speculation of empiric philosophy, which discerns matter from spirit, or by cultivation of mystic powers, which ultimately helps the performer to reach any planet of the universe or beyond the universe, or by discharge of religious duties, one can achieve the highest perfection, provided one is able to reach the stage of Nārāyaṇa Smriti, or constant remembrance of the personality of Godhead. This is possible only by the association of a pure devotee who can give a finishing touch to the transcendental activities of all jnanis, yogis, or karmis in terms of prescribed duties defined in scriptures. There are many historical instances of the achievement of spiritual perfection, such as that of the Sanakadi Rishis, the 4 Kumaras, or the 9 celebrated Yogendras, Navayogendras, who attained perfection only after being situated in the devotional service of the Lord. None of the devotees of the Lord ever deviated from the path of devotional service by taking to other methods as adopted by the jnanis or yogis. Everyone is anxious to achieve the highest perfection of his particular activity, and it is indicated herein that such perfection is Nārāyaṇa Smriti, for which everyone must endeavor his best. In other words, life should be molded in such a manner that one is able to progressively remember the personality of Godhead in every step of life. Etavan Sankhya Yogabhyam Swadharma Parinishtaya Chammalabha Parakpumsam Ante Nārāyaṇa Smriti. The highest perfection of human life achieved either by complete knowledge of matter and spirit, by practice of mystic powers, or by perfect discharge of occupational duty, is to remember the personality of Godhead at the end of life. Is this every Saturday like this? That's normal, or? Yeah.
Every day.
Every day. Okay. So this is, I guess, ambulance and fire, police, like different. Yeah, big cities have this where you find the problems of material life very palpable if we are a bit sensible. But sometimes we have a saying in Spanish. I'll say it in Spanish and then we'll translate it. It has rhyme, that's why it makes sense. They say, el muerto al hoyo y el vivo al bollo. The meaning is the death, take the death to the hole, and the person who is alive goes for the cake. So this is what we normally do. So, isn't it? It's like that. A person dies, okay. The dead person move on, and those who remain alive, we want to go for enjoyment, especially in Berlin, isn't it? It's a city of sense enjoyment. And people, no problem. The ambulance, we continue, we have. That person died, that we continue with it. But what Sri Shukadeva Goswami is saying, that's not very wise to do that. We are missing a very important, a very great opportunity to go back to the eternal world and to finish with the experiences of disease, old age, death, pain connected to all these experiences which make the world dukkhalayam ashashvatam, the material world. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, it is guaranteed that it is temporary and a place of suffering. Like when how they call the restaurant is called Bhojanalaya, no? It's like that, Bhojanalaya. The pharmacy, Aushadhi Alaya. So it's the place where you get food, the place where you get medicine. So the material world is called, Krishna says, Dukkhalaya. So it's the place where you get suffering. So it's not very, very wise to go to that shop. Isn't it? If you go to that shop, to a shop that you are going to be beaten, unless you are a masochist, you know masochist, people who like to be beaten, then you don't go to such place. I remember as a child, I used to go to the fun park. My parents would take me. And there was one of the attractions was called the Train of the Witch. And the witch actually was a he-witch. Was very heavy, was very strong. So the fellow had a disguise as a witch, and the train will pass around the tunnel, and this fellow will be there with a broom, and will beat all the children and big people. That was it. And people will pay money for that. So I paid money twice. No more. I said no more. This is too much. Because first I tried to take, I wanted to take the broom from, this is what everybody will try to beat the witch, take away the broom, and then say, okay, I'm champion. But the fellow was so strong, it was very difficult. How a kid could do that? I don't remember having seen anybody taking away the broom. So I thought, I don't come anymore, I'm beaten. At least the other attractions, you go up and down like this carousel in the in the horse, you go up and down. You can imagine something, but when you are beaten. So the material world is like that. And therefore says, Shukadeva Goswami is saying here, that the highest perfection we can achieve in human life is to remember Krishna at the time of death, because then we will go back to him. And go back to him means to experience Amrita Ananda. It even appears redundant, but it's the nectar, the divine bliss of immortality. Amrita. Vidyaya Amrita Mashnute, Sri Upanishad explains. It is the nectar of transcendental knowledge. And the ripened fruit of transcendental knowledge is bhakti, Shuddha bhakti, pure love for Krishna. And pure love for Krishna means that whenever death comes to us, we will have a wise response to that. And this is what we find in the Shrimad-Bhagavatam. Maharaj Parikshit can't be cursed to die within 7 days. Do you know some people who have been predicted to die within a short span of time? Sometimes we have, maybe not 1 week, but we hear somebody has cancer, and the doctors say he has 3 months or 6 months. Sometimes they get it wrong, and the person keeps living. So not only astrologers get it wrong, but also the doctors. Any doctors here? Excuse me. So sometimes they do their best prediction according to their experience, in professional experience, and sometimes they get it wrong on the one side or on the other. But also this will depend on the person. We had in Spain one very good devotee, Satsvarupa Prabhu, book distributor for 40 years, distributing Srila Prabhupada's books every day. He was such a good book distributor. Once he told one devotee that he was dreaming that he was able to fly. So he was able to fly wherever he wanted in the dream. And he was sharing this with another devotee friend. And the devotee asked him, "What were you doing in the dream?" He said, "Sankirtan." Of course, Sankirtan, what will I do? That was his life, to go out and book distribution. So even in dreams, he will take books when he was flying and will go and distribute Srila Prabhupada's books. So this devotee was predicted that he will leave this world within 6 months. He came to New Brajamandala, to the farm community. Here you have Golokadam and Simhachalam. So we have New Brajamandala. The presiding deities are Shri Shri Radha, Govinda Chandra. You are welcome to visit. Not to die, no, you don't have to come to have a celebration for a festival. We had the Holy Name Festival several times. Sometimes His Holiness Yadunandana Swami Maharaja has come. Any of you has come to New Brajamandala? She has come, or just been in Radha? Anyone else? No? So you can do an excursion, take a bus from Berlin and to visit different temples. Why not? You can visit temples, and you could go to Golokadam, Radhadesh, New Mayapur in France, New Brajamandala. Someone saying yes. Let's go. In Spain we will say, vamos. Vamos. So you can come. This devotee, he came, he decided to come to leave his body in the association of devotees. And the doctors told him, you have cancer, it's metastasis, it's too much spread out to many parts of the body, we can do nothing, sorry. But we can give you palliative care. They will give some medicine to make it less painful. So this devotee, in 2 weeks he was gone. And I think he was gone because he was a devotee and he had no fear of death. I met him a few days before he left. I had then to go to travel. I wasn't there. And then he told me, this is like going to sleep. He was very casual about it, like very relaxed. Usually when a person is going to die, it's not so relaxed. But he said, no, it's very, you go to sleep, and he was expressing in the Spanish way, very relaxed. You go to sleep, and then you wake up wherever Krishna takes you, you go, wake up and you continue, no problem. So it is, when death comes, it is not that easy, but we see in the Bhagavatam different responses to the call of death. Maharaj Parikshit responded by, he was the emperor of the world, so he gave up all his opulence, and he went to the bank of the holy river, the Ganges or the Yamuna. There are two opinions, some say Ganges, some say Yamuna, there is not much difference. To gather with the sages, and he asked the question, what is the duty, what is the dharma of a human being, and especially the human being who is about to die? And basically this is everyone. Everyone is about to die, because whether it is 7 days, 7 weeks, 7 months, 7 years, or 70 years, if you are Matusalem in the Bible, 700 years, but we don't find this in Kali Yuga so easily. So it is not that big amount of time. So what is the duty of a person who is about to die? What should that person hear about? What should that person speak about? What should that person remember? Who should the person worship? And also what he should not do. And this is asked for the people of the contemporary world in the cities, that many times we do things that we are not meant to, are not constructive, are actually very destructive. When people take drugs, the people are not regulated in their daily habits, all these things actually are very destructive habits, which not only destroy the body, but destroy the consciousness, the higher consciousness we have been given by Krishna in the form of a human body. It is a very valuable vehicle. So if we have a good vehicle and we take it and destroy the car, like smashing it against different things, it is not very wise. Will not last much, nor the car, nor the driver. So similarly, if we misuse the material body for unregulated, very disordered lifestyle, the consequence will be that we won't be happy, the health will decrease at a faster pace, and also the mind will be very, very disturbed. And ultimately we may even become more or less crazy. In the material world, people become more or less crazy, isn't it? It's kind of doing all kinds of weird things. And of course now we are in a society where you can do your own thing. We were discussing with Premananda Gopal, we were coming, and then we were discussing a little bit about life in Berlin, how it is. And he was saying, yes, people are not very religious, it's very atheistic, this place. But what is good is that they let you practice Krishna consciousness. So that's good. Like, people do any crazy thing and you cannot say anything as long as you don't kill others, like if you don't disturb others. So you do anything and you can do your own thing. You can be crazy in your own way, like dressing in bed sheets and singing and dancing in the streets. So it's considered like that, and it's so anyway, in the case of Maharaj Parikshit, he responded to death, to the call of death, by going together with the sages for the last week of his life. And he asked that question, and this is part of the answer, that the highest perfection a human being who is about to die can achieve is to remember Krishna, Nārāyaṇa, at the time of death. Because that means you will not have to come back to the world of Dukkhalayam, the world of suffering. So this is one of the responses. Can you think of other narratives of the Shrimad-Bhagavatam related to death, so that we can reflect on the different responses? And this doesn't mean only people who died, people who had, for example, a threat of death. Where do we find in the Bhagavatam that threat? Ajamil was about to die, and how he responded?
By chanting the name of Nārāyaṇa.
Yeah, we could say, in the transcendental sense, he won the lottery. Materialistic people, they gamble in the lottery. So in this case, he won the lottery because he was able to chant the holy name of Nārāyaṇa by calling to his son. But this was connected to the fact that in his youth he had performed devotional service. So if someone performs devotional service in the youth, even if later on will not continue, will be able to harvest the results of devotional service. I'm not encouraging you with this to do that you do it for some years and then drop. But if Ajamila, even having given up and engaged in very sinful activities, he won the lottery in that sense. And you understand me what I mean?
Yes.
He got the mercy of all his investment during his youth. What to speak of those who are engaged in devotional service throughout the whole life, to the best of their ability? Practically speaking, we cannot even imagine how much benefit we are getting from this. So yes, Ajamila, he responded in this case was an unconscious response, but even an unconscious response connected to the chanting of Krishna's holy names can actually give unlimited benefit. What other narratives in the Bhagavatam we find connected? Gajendra. So Gajendra, the king of the elephants, was being defeated by the crocodile. He was the king of the elephants. He was very proud of his strength. But then he crossed borders he shouldn't have crossed. So he tried to become the king in the lake. And the crocodile thought, no, you may be the king outside the lake, but here I am the king. So a very heavy fight took place between Gajendra and the crocodile. And Gajendra was becoming weaker and weaker and weaker. So what was his response to the call of death? He was being defeated, he was going to die. Like if somebody attacks you and you are almost losing your, God forbid that anybody attacks you, but anybody attacks us and we're losing strength, we're almost dying. What was his response? He made an offering to Lord Jagannath, to Lord Nārāyaṇa. So he made an offering with his trunk, and he chanted a mantra he had learned in a previous lifetime when he was known as King Indradyumna. And due to a curse, he became the king of the elephants. But somehow he was able to remember. So that's the power of bhakti, that whatever bhakti we perform may come back in the worst case scenario. The bhakti is so strong that it sprouts back. It's very, very powerful. So that's our response. When we are being defeated, we are being attacked, we can pray to Krishna. We can offer whatever we can, even if mentally we can offer to Krishna. A flower, a fruit, some words of praise, some request for protection. My Lord, I am finished, please save me. This was the prayer of Gajendra. Please save me, my Lord. And the Lord saved him and saved also the crocodile. What other narratives about the call of death? What about narratives of family members dying?
And I was thinking of Bharat Maharaj.
Bharat Maharaj.
3 times he get the call of death.
Yes. 3 lifetimes, yes. So what was the response of Bharat Maharaj?
Well, to my mind, that was as Jada Bharat, he was completely indifferent to death, I guess. When he was captured by the decoys and they wanted to offer him to Goddess Kali, he didn't care about it. He was fearless.
So in the 3rd lifetime, in the last one, when he was going to be killed, he didn't react. He was trusting Krishna's protection, and Krishna protected him through Goddess Kali, who came out of the altar and killed the dacoits who were going to kill him. So, and then as Bharata Maharaj in the 1st lifetime, he got distracted, and because he thought too much of the deer and less of the Lord he was worshipping, then the lesson is that we should be careful, otherwise we may even if we are advanced, we may take the body of an animal. Bharata Maharaj was advanced in bhakti, and he took the body of an animal. And as an animal, he waited for the call of death very patiently, approaching the devotees, the sages, and as a deer, he will go to listen their message, the message of the Shrimad-Bhagavatam, whatever the sages will discuss. So, yeah, that's another one. What about when Draupadi lost her 5 children? What was her response to the call of death? In this case, she was not killed. Her children, no teenagers, were killed by cruel Ashvatthama while the children were sleeping after the battle of Kurukshetra. What was the response? Yes, Prabhu?
I think she was really furious and she wanted Ashvatthama's death, chopping off of his head, but they decided to just cut off his hair.
Yes, and Draupadi actually responded in very compassionate way. She didn't want to take revenge. She felt so much pain. If a mother loses a child, it's unbearable. If a mother loses 5 children, it's indescribably unbearable. So even though she had so much pain, but because she was a pure devotee, she didn't want that the killer of her children be killed, because she didn't want to see her friend Kripi, the mother of the killer, didn't want her to see her suffer as she was suffering. This is the nature of the Vaishnavas. Vaishnavas don't like to see others suffering, but they want the best for everybody. So this is a compassionate response to the call of death when a crime has been committed against one's own family. It's a very difficult response, but the highest, pure, noble response.
This situation that happened to Prahlad Maharaj.
Prahlad Maharaj, yes, his father, Hiranyakashipu, was the greatest child abuser ever. He tried to kill his son not only once, but many, many times in the most heavy and cruel manners. And in the end, when Hiranyakashipu had been killed by Lord Nrsimhadev, Prahlad Maharaj prayed for the well-being of his father and for his freedom. When the Lord asked him, "What do you want?" he said, "I do not want any blessing. If you want me to ask something, I'm concerned for those conditioned souls, foolish conditioned souls, who are suffering in this material world. So I feel for them." And then he prayed, if you wish, please give liberation to my father. Release him from his suffering condition. So this shows again the compassionate nature of Vaishnavas.
There is a story about King Khatwanga in Shrimad-Bhagavatam, wherein he was told about his lifetime is limited and he went in search of God.
Yes, very good. So yes, so King Khatwanga, when he was, and actually this comes here, it is mentioned, there is a verse in in text 13 of this very same chapter, King Khatwanga is mentioned. He is mentioned in detail in Canto 9th of the Bhagavatam, and here it is mentioned. The saintly King Khatwanga, after being informed that the duration of his life will be only a moment more, at once freed himself from all material activities and took shelter of the supreme safety, the personality of Godhead. So the King Khatwanga had fought with the demigods, and with great failure, very strongly. And the demigod said, "Please ask us whatever you wish, you can ask from us. We will give it to you, whatever we're able to give you." And then he said, "Okay, before asking the blessing, please tell me how much longer I'm meant to live." And then they check out the planets. They were demigods, they know well. And they said, you have only a few more, little time more. And then they said, okay, please take me to the sacred places on Earth planet, immediately, on the spot, and let me remember Krishna at the time of death. And he achieved perfection, it is mentioned. He is an ancestor of Lord Ramachandra. Okay, so we have so many responses to the call of death in the Bhagavatam. Maybe you want to ask any questions of what we have been discussing, or comment. You may have some comments.
I would like to thank you very much for your wonderful lecture. And you spoke about different possibilities that we can go back to Krishna. And some devotee says that we have to develop Raganuga Bhakti in this lifetime. And maybe you can say also something to this, if it's necessary or if we...
Yeah, that's very good. If one is able to develop Raga for Krishna in this lifetime, this is perfection of life. One can go back home, back to Godhead, by developing Raga. Raga means divine attachment for Krishna. And this is done by following in the footsteps of those who have Raga for Krishna, the inhabitants of Vrindavana. So this is what Srila Prabhupada will quote a verse by Srinath Chakravarti, one Gauriya Vaishnava commentator of the Shrimad-Bhagavatam, Aratyo Bhagavan Brajesha Tanayas Tatdhama Vrindavanam. That Sri Krishna, the son of Nanda Maharaj, in Vrindavan, he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he is meant to be worshipped. And the best way of worshipping him, Ramya Kachit Upasana Vrajavadu Vargena Ya Kalpita, is by following in the footsteps of the Vraja Gopis, the cohort damsels of Vrindavan. So by following their mood, by praying to them, by taking shelter of their lotus feet, we may develop Raga. But of course, this is not something to be publicly advertised. This is personal bhajan. Personal bhajan, according to Srila Narottam Das Thakur, is not meant to put flags up and say, oh, I'm doing this bhajan. So people will say, oh, what a great Vaishnava is such and such. No, this is something internal, is meant to be cultivated according to one's natural inclination. So by natural inclination, natural practice of the processes of hearing, chanting, remembering Krishna, these are the natural processes connected to Raga Marga. Hearing, chanting, and remembering Krishna, especially following in the footsteps of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan and all the Gaudiya Vaishnava Acharyas in the line. Then we can do that, yes. But if someone else, other devotees may feel inclined to worship Nārāyaṇa, to worship in a more reverential mode, that also Krishna will reciprocate with his devotees. And they will experience Vaikuntha Prema, whatever they want to, the Prema they want to experience, that's there. So, does this answer the question? Is that?
Yes, thank you very much.
Other questions?
Krishna Maharaj, thank you for the wonderful lecture and speaking about this like inevitable topic, I would say. So Maharaj, the thing is, as you mentioned, like the Sankirtan devotee you knew and he was really casual about the death. So still, like for me myself, I feel like still I am really scared of death. So I don't know, this is like totally unknown realm for me, and I don't know what is going to happen after the death. So Maharaj, my question is to you, like, is it that by practicing this devotional service, I will be also be casual, like regarding the death, or like, is it the sadhana which prepares us for the death? Like, what is the preparation basically for the death?
The Srila Prabhupada writes in the commentary to a verse we quoted also this morning from Bhagavad Gita, Anta kale chamameva smaram mukva kalevaram yaprayati samat bhavam yati nasti atra samshaya. That whoever remembers the Lord at the time of death, Krishna says, whoever remembers me at the time of death, immediately attains me, attains my nature. And of this there is no doubt. And Srila Prabhupada in the commentaries to this verse and surrounding verses states that whoever gets the practice of devotional service, performs devotional service during this lifetime, he is able to remember Krishna at the time of death. And he says it is not possible for the impure soul to remember Krishna at the time of death. But by practicing, we become accustomed to remember, and then death comes, and we leave the body, and that's it. We're remembering Krishna. If Krishna allows us to do that. So, like recently, His Holiness Rūpa Swami Maharaja left his body. He was from Argentina. He 80 plus years old, was preaching in India doing Padayatra for a number of years, and he left his body in Bhopal. And how he left his body was, he was preaching. He gave a class, Shrimad-Bhagavatam class, in the temple. Then he went to the room. Devotees went to get him to go to the next preaching program, and he had left his body from a heart attack. So after giving a class discussing Shrimad-Bhagavatam, a life of many decades of preaching, he had left his body. So like that, that's a very blessed death. Sometimes we pray when a death comes like that, say, oh, what a blessed death. Any other questions or comments you like to ask or to make?
Namaskar, Hare Krishna, and thanks for sharing with us all your understanding. My question is, people keep visiting temples. There are so many temples in India and here as well. Visiting temples or chanting at home, what do you feel actually which increase our devotion actually? Whether visiting temples make it stronger, or we can chant at peace at our home, that is equivalent actually.
Yes, we should do both. We should visit the temples, because in the temples and the holy places, we get the inspiration to chant at home. If we only chant at home, the tendency is to diminish. Because at home, it's more relaxed, so, isn't it? It's like that or not? But if we go to the temple and chant with the devotees, then we get inspiration to chant at home.
One more to this actually. Don't you think it's becoming kind of show off these days, visiting temple? Because if you might have seen Mathura, Vrindavan, there is so much crowd actually in those temples. There is no atmosphere kind of peaceful chanting. So whatever benefits actually we are visiting temple for, that is anyway subdued actually, with so much of crowd being there.
Yeah, that may be there in some places. So you have to see what's convenient for your bhajan, for your devotional service. So you could do, but there are very peaceful places, like if you go to Vrindavan, if you go for instance to Terkadamba, It's a place where Srila Rupa Goswami practiced bhajan. Some of you may have visited. Have you visited their Kadamba? So, yes, some of you, I have been there sometimes. So it's a place, very auspicious place, where Rupa Goswami practiced his bhajan and saw Krishna's pastimes. So it's very peaceful. You can spend time there. There are so many beautiful places in Vrindavan. You can go and visit and get inspiration. So we can avoid the crowds if we wish. His Holiness Jayadvaita Swami Maharaja, when he practices his bhajan in Vrindavan, is very expert in avoiding the crowds. He knows, he finds places, very secluded, peaceful places. And then of course he will go also for retreats. He will do both. He will take some quality time for personal bhajan, and he will also take quality time for sharing with other devotees.
Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, can you tell us more about your past and how you got attracted to Krishna consciousness? And can you give a message to the youth these days, which are like born in Krishna consciousness?
Okay, I'll summarize. I won't tell you my whole story, but a little bit I'll tell. When I was a teenager, 13, 14 years old, I was interested into UFOs, you know, this unidentified, like, yes, contact with people from other planets. We will practice psychography. It's a practice with a hand. You take a pen and you lift it and put the mind relax, and then starts writing the hand. Also sometimes ghosts can come in, so you have to be careful, and starts writing some messages. We were doing such things, and we wanted to go and see in the clear sky, see UFOs and try to contact with beings from other planets. I wanted to go and live in another planet which will be better than this. So like that, I had my own youthful, a little crazy ideas. So I was also interested in parapsychology, telepathy, telekinesis, different experiences like that. So through my friends, I met devotees in Barcelona that was located 30 kilometers from where I was living. So my friends told me how to chant Hare Krishna with a japamala, and then I started to chant at home, and then I went to visit the temple. So my parents in the beginning didn't want me to go to the temple. They allowed me the first time. When they saw I was too enthusiastic, they decided that I cannot go stay overnight. First they allowed me to go stay overnight. Then they said, no, you can go only during the day. The third week, they said, you can go in the afternoon. And the fourth week, I was banned from visiting the Hare Krishna temple. So I was going anyway. During 1 year, I was going to the temple without telling my parents what I was doing. I told them, I'm going to the group. And they thought I was going to the group of parapsychology. But I was thinking, I'm going to the group of devotees to see my friends. So Hare Krishna. So then, anyway, after that, after 1 year and a half, Krishna tricked my parents, and they gave me permission to go and live in the temple. Because the reasoning was let him go, becomes homesick, and then he will come back. So that never happened. I was going to visit them. I was coming back for visiting 1 day, 2 days, or 3 days. The temple authorities were very, very kind to me, and they allowed me that I could go and stay with my parents and come back. So that was nice. They were pleased. And then the neighbors will tell my mother that he looks very healthy. I was eating lots of halava. so then she couldn't take me back by force because the neighbors were telling her he looks healthy. So this is my little story a little bit. And what attracted me the most was to spend time with the devotees and the kirtan, the Krishna Katha, the prasadam. The devotees were very friendly, they were very good friends. So like that. So you can do that also if you wish. I don't know if your mother is here or is here. Is she here?
Father is here.
Father. What is the father saying? She can.
Definitely she can.
The father is in the temple. No problem. My parents were not in the temple. Only when I escaped home, my father came to get me. I escaped once. That's another story. One very fanatic brahmachari from Argentina with roots, from Germany. He had roots from Germany. He preached me, you come, you escape, you come to the temple. The police can come, will hide you, no problem. I was only 15 years old. So, but I didn't think it was a very good idea. I thought, okay, I must talk to my parents and convince them in a nice way. But then after some time, because my parents didn't respond favorably to my request to go and live in the temple after some months. So I thought, okay, this brahmachari said I can escape and go. So then I did it. I did it twice. So my father came to the temple only when I escaped the second time. But I'm not encouraging anyone to do that, especially if it's under the tutelage of the parents, because this will be not good for the family, nor for the child, nor for the temple. So, but I did it. This is part of my story.
Hare Krishna. We discussed that we should remember Krishna at the time of death, but sometimes the situation is not ideal. Maybe somebody dies all of a sudden, somebody is unconscious or unhealthy. So what happens in that situation?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. If we are practicing Krishna consciousness, then Krishna will manifest himself in the heart of the devotee. So we don't need to worry. This morning we were discussing this, that Sri Ramanuja Acharya asked one of his gurus, Mahatma Kanchipurna, what happens if a devotee is not able to remember Krishna at the time of death? And then the guru asked the deity, Varadaraj in Kanchipuram in South India, and the deity replied, tell Ramanuja that if my devotee does not remember me at the time of death, I will remember my devotee. So Krishna never forgets his devotees. So even if it happens to us like Bharata Maharaj, that we remember a pet animal we're taking care of, like he was taking care of a deer, and we happen to take such a body, Krishna will take very good care of us. It may happen in Vrindavan, in a holy place, and will be hearing the Mahamantra, and normally that won't happen. Usually devotees do not take animal bodies, usually. But extraordinarily, if it will happen, like we see in this narrative of the Bhagavatam, then Krishna will protect. And very soon he went back home, back to Godhead. After 2 lifetimes, he was able to go back. Okay, I think we can end here. Okay.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Maharaj, my question is like, we saw many examples where Krishna reciprocates with his devotees and comes for protection. But we also see that most of those examples are like, or all of the examples are those which the devotees are already pure devotees. So how does it happen for a devotee who is a sadhana devotee, like where the sadhana bhakti is practicing and he is not purified yet, but how, because many times it also happens that such a devotee is praying for protection but doesn't receive the protection the way he thinks maybe he should be protected, and then it becomes difficult sometimes to hope for the next time, or yeah. So
Yes, we tend to be too analytical in when we are calculating Krishna's mercy. We tend to be too analytical. Krishna's mercy is not bound by any calculations from mundane people. I mean, even from those who are devotees, non-mundane, nice devotees. Krishna's mercy goes beyond whatever calculation we may do with our material mind and senses. For instance, according to Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Bharata Maharaj was situated at the stage of Bhava Bhakti. He had pure consciousness. And Maharaj Chitraketu was situated at the stage of Prema Bhakti, pure love of Godhead. But they had to come back, whereas Ajamila, who was a criminal, practically speaking, he went back to Godhead in that very lifetime. So how Krishna ministers his mercy is beyond the calculation of we people of this world. Of course, we may have an idea by the indications of Shastra, but actually it is beyond our calculation. So how to do? If we are sadhakas, then let's do our best as sadhakas. And as Yadunandana Maharaj says, you do your best and Krishna will do the rest. So if we do that, there may be a gap and Krishna may fill the gap. Even though we hear that normally, if we are not yet ripe, then we will come back to continue ripening. Which is fine. It's like, okay, wake up again and continue progressing. I heard some quotes from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur that if a devotee in one lifetime is Kanishta-dikari, then next lifetime maybe Madhyama-dikari, then next lifetime Uttama-dikari. So this will be like a natural progression. But there is not like a hard and fast rules on that. This is something that may happen, but this is Krishna's mercy is beyond whatever calculations we may apply, both for ourselves and for other people, for other devotees. Sometimes a dog goes back to Godhead before a human being. Of course, no ordinary dog, but in the case of Lord Chaitanya's Leela, when Shivananda Sena was traveling with a dog, remember? And a fellow who was driving the boatman, said, no, the dog cannot come on the boat. Shivananda said, if the dog doesn't come, I will not ride on your boat. So finally, okay, he could travel with the dog. But at some point, the dog disappeared and met Lord Chaitanya. And Lord Chaitanya was feeding the dog with prasadam, sweet balls. And the dog quit his body, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said he went back to Godhead. So the mercy of the Lord is beyond our calculation. But what we know is that the mercy of Krishna is very, very big. It's much greater than we can imagine. So therefore, we shouldn't ever get discouraged. We should see how I can improve, what I can do to improve. And that means devotee association. By association we improve because we learn from other devotees. And by praying to Krishna, by chanting and hearing every day, worshipping according to our capacity. Like here you have a very, very accessible mode of worship, very accessible, Lord Jagannath, and quite flexible, like here with the timings, quite relaxed, and following what I was told, so okay. But I guess now it's time, Lord Jagannath wants the article, right? Okay, last question.
Thank you, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Maharaj, very much for the wonderful kalas and the inspiration. So my question is, Maharaj, when we hear to lectures, when we read scriptures, what is the right way to take in the knowledge and imbibe? Because sometimes it happens, like when we hear to lectures on someone speaking on detachment, or so emotionally sometimes we take this detachment and then we tend to not give our best in our responsibilities at times. So then after some time we realize, oh, I didn't give my best over in my office, for an example, but I was supposed to do at that moment. So how to take the things in a proper manner and then imbibe it?
Yes, the Upanishads speak about a threefold process. Shravana, hearing; Nididhyasana, bringing it to the heart, not just here with the mind or the brain, the superficial mind, so to say, but bringing it to the heart and reflect on it, and then manana. Manana means assimilation and practical application in daily life. So that process is important, not that we hear from one ear and comes out from the other. So we should avoid that. But we should hear and bring it to the heart. And reflect, okay, what is the lesson I get from this? Someone could say, okay, but I hear and I forget. Or I read and forget. Isn't it? Doesn't happen this to you? You read Srila Prabhupada's books and then forget? There was one disciple who asked his spiritual master about that. And then said, Guru Maharaj, the disciple went, I follow your instruction of reading every day, reading Shastra, but I forget what is the benefit of such reading. Or we could say, what is the benefit of such hearing? And the Guru said, okay, I'm going to show it to you. So the Guru pointed out there was a basket with coal. Black coal. You have heard this narrative, yes? So he said, okay, you put out the coal and take the basket, fill it from the river with water, and bring it full of water. So the disciple was doing that, but because the basket had some holes, the water will not hold. So he went like 8-10 times trying to fulfill the duty the Guru had given to him, bring a basket full of water. So after he tried, he gave up and went to the Guru and said, Guru Maharaj, I cannot do that. The water it's not holding. The Guru then asked, what is the difference between the basket now and when you took out, you just took out the coal from the basket? The disciple said, before it was black, now it is clean. So this is what happens when we hear, even if we are not so expert in applying this systematic process of bringing it to the heart and assimilating and applying, but the process of hearing about Krishna is so powerful that we become clean, our hearts become clean. And imperceptibly, we advance. And then when we realize where I was at before and where I am at now, there is certainly a big change. And I'm sure many of you can remember yourself, examine where you were before and where you are at now, and you see, oh, there is progress. The process is working, so I can continue. So that was the last question. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Tomorrow morning we have another class, so you are welcome to attend at 9 o'clock. And we also have the initiation ceremony of Bhakti Minu, so you can come and give your blessings to her. And if you cannot come, you can offer advanced blessings to her. She's here. You bless her. If Vaishnavas bless a devotee, then Krishna will bless the devotee. Hare Krishna.